Hello, all you lovely people on the internet. This is Christopher, and this is Christopher with more on Mormons. And tonight I figured I would explain my philosophy, since, just, I'll, I'm not good at this kind of stuff, but Epicureanism is, how do I start this really? It's a philosophy that was set forth by Epicurus, I believe, in 307 BC. It teaches that the greatest good in life is that the goal in life is to maximize pleasure, or to maximize your happiness, or ataxia in ancient Greek, and to minimize pain, or aponia in Greek. Yeah, maximum amount of pleasure and the least amount of pain. And go about this, it's considered a form of hedonism, but not. It differs in its conception of happiness as the absence of pain, and it advocates a simple life. Epicurus directed that the state of tranquility could be attained through knowledge, and of the limiting of desires. Pleasure was to be obtained by knowledge, in other words, friendship, and leading the virtuous and temperate life. But also, I really don't have a script for this, so I'm really winging it here. Oh, hey Reese, nice to have you here. So you can witness the train wreck that is my mind trying to do this live. God damn, can't even hear me. Hold on a second, I can fix that. The mic, no, I can't fix that apparently. Let me see. God damn it. Volume mixer. No, that won't do it. Is the volume any better? Because my microphone's fucking up again right now. That's just great. That's great. Just a great way to start off a live stream, Chris. To where they can't even hear you. I'm working my mic right now, trying to fix it. My computer is slow. Come on, stupid computer. Why am I doing that? You can't even hear me. Fucking A. I thought my mic was fine, but apparently not. Okay. Sound settings. Microphone settings. Device properties. Okay. Levels. Set it all the way up. There. Okay. Are we good now? So, are we good? Beautiful. So I'm going to have to start over. Because you probably didn't hear a damn thing I said. Epicureanism basically is a philosophy that Epicurus founded around 307 BC. It teaches that the greatest good is to seek modest pleasures in life, and to minimize pain, or aponia, and to maximize pleasure, aka happiness, at ataxia, in the Greek. what he taught was to seek modest pleasures in life, to basically seek knowledge, friendship, and live a temperate life. He lauded the enjoyment of simple pleasures, by which he meant abstaining from bodily desires like sex and appetites. It verges on asceticism. He counseled that a cheerful poverty is an cheerful poverty is, what was I going to say? Is an honorable state. That one could be happy in poverty. Basically, as long as you meet the standards by which you can survive, you can live modestly happy. And that by actually molding your life that way, you can seek more pleasure than the rich do. Because, let me see, get my thoughts together. He's just the simple pleasures in life are best. And he also argued for moderation in all things, so that when eating, you shouldn't eat too richly because it could lead to dissatisfaction, like indigestion, or realizing that you can't afford such delicacies in the future. Sex could also lead to, increased lust and dissatisfaction with the sexual partner, and he himself remained celibate. By he I mean Epicurus, of course. Even learning, culture, and civilization were discouraged because they could result in disturbing your peace of mind. Except as knowledge could help rid oneself of religious fears and superstitions, such as the fear of gods and of death. Because, as Epicurus would put it, I actually have one of the quotes on the screen, not there, but if I am, death is not. When death is, I am not. Why should I fear something that only exists when I do not? Basically saying, whenever death is here, I'll no longer exist, so why should I fear something that's only here when I don't exist? Just like he was very deistic in nature, and there it is right there. Why should I fear death? Exactly. I actually quoted it pretty good. But what was I saying? Damn it, I'm scatterbrained tonight. Well, this is just a little chat anyway. This isn't really. But yeah, he also shunned politics as having no part in the quest, because politics really doesn't make you happy or doesn't cause you pain, and it's actually a source of unsatisfiable desires and frustration, which was to be avoided. And like Democritus and Leucippus before him, he was an atomist, believing that all matter, souls, and gods are all comprised of atoms, and even thoughts are merely atoms serving randomly. I mean, we know that today that is not the case, but for the time that was truly something that really was not that prevalent in thought. And he also was the first to develop a notion of justice as a social contract, an agreement neither to be harmed nor be harmed. No, neither to harm nor be harmed, sorry. He argued that laws and punishments in society are important so people can be free to pursue their own happiness, and a just law is one that contributes to promoting human happiness. Oh, damn. In some respects, that was an early contribution to the later development of liberalism and utilitarianism. So Epicurus, in my thoughts at least, was one of the first liberals, in the school of liberal thoughts, that he thought to not harm people, to not bring harm, thus harm be brought to you. But back to this. One thing that really I need to point out that Epicureanism, I've heard people tell me that what they heard about it was that it was a form of hedonism. It is in a way, but not not pure hedonism. It has more in line with ethical hedonism, which is basically hedonism but in moderation. Again, that word keeps popping up, moderation, because again, Epicurus was a firm believer in everything in moderation. Like that quote right there, it's impossible to live a pleasant life without living wealthy and honorably and justly. It's impossible to live wisely and honorably. Yeah. Not what we have, but what we enjoy constitutes our abundance. All these quotes pretty much sum up the fullness that is Epicureanism, but I like to go a little bit more in depth. But anyway, Epicureanism was originally conceived as a challenge to Platonism, although arguably Democritus had a very similar philosophy almost a century earlier. It later became one of the three dominant schools of Hellenistic. Yeah, I've got a little kind of a script I'm reading off, but not. I'm trying to not go word for word by my little script there, which I might as well. It'd make more sense in my wandering thoughts. The school of Epicureanism later became one of the three dominant schools of Hellenistic philosophy, lasting strongly through the later Roman Empire. During his lifetime, its members included Hermarchus, I don't know if I'm pronouncing these right, I wrote them down earlier. Hermarchus, Idomenius, Colotes, Polyaenus, and Metrodorus. Like I said, I wrote these down earlier. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Lucretius was the school's greatest Roman proponent, composing an epic poem, De Rerum Natura, on the nature of things, on the Epicurean philosophy of nature. The poet Horace and Julius Caesar both leaned considerably towards Epicureanism. And after the official approval of Christianity by the Roman Emperor Constantine, in 313 AD, Epicureanism was repressed as essentially irreconcilable with Christian teachings, and the school endured a long period of obscurity and decline. Excuse me. Excuse you. But yeah, that's another thing. Epicurus was very much a materialist, and he focused more on the material world than on the godly world. Than in the afterlife or in any deistic nature of anything. He basically believed that if there were gods, they didn't care about us, so why should we care about them in the least? And yeah, I agree with that. Just if there were gods, they obviously don't care about us, so why should we give a damn about them? But on back to this. Yeah, on to Epicureanism and religion. Epicureanism emphasizes the neutrality of the gods and their non-interference with human lives, just like I just said, although it did not deny the existence of God, despite some tendencies towards atheism. It conceived of the gods as blissful and immortal, yet material, beings made of atoms, inhabiting the empty spaces between worlds in the vastness of infinite space, too far away from the earth to have any interest in what man was doing. It completely rejects any possibility of an afterlife. but still contends that one need not fear death. The philosophy is atheistic on a practical level, but avoids the charge of atheism on the theoretical level, thus avoiding the fate of Socrates, who was tried and executed for the atheism of his beliefs. The earliest known, yeah. See, he had very strong thoughts on what exactly was happiness. Basically, he why am I talking about happiness? Evil. He had very strong descriptions about evil, and he actually was the earliest known description of the problem of evil, which is a famous argument against the existence of all-powerful and providential God or gods. It can be stated, if God is willing to prevent evil, but is not able to, then he is not omnipotent. If he is able but not willing, then he is malevolent. If he is both able and willing, then why is there such a thing as evil? And if he is neither able nor willing, then why call him God at all? That pretty much sums up everything on that. Was quicker than I thought it was going to be. Any questions? There we go. It is impossible to live pleasantly without living wisely. That is very true. I mean, if you don't live wisely, you'll never achieve happiness. You'll never find pleasure in life. If you have to live wisely in order. I mean, it's a pretty duh situation there. Well, that was a lot quicker. Oh, when was he alive? 307 BC. He wasn't the first, actually. Wait, yeah, he was. He was the first because it was named after him, duh. Damn, my mind's kind of not here. Kind of here, but kind of not. But yeah, he lived around 307 BC. I believe he died at the age of 81. I want to say it was 81 when he died. So he actually lived a pretty long, fulfilling life. I mean, you can just look at his face. He's, I mean, the life of the party, man. I was being sarcastic there. But yeah, this is a lot of silence here, so what did the theist think of him? Oh, the theist did not like him. he was along with Stoicism and what's the other one? Stoicism, and I had it written down. I gotta find where I had it written down at. Skepticism. Stoicism and skepticism were the other two school of thoughts. Became the dominant schools of Hellenistic philosophy. And the theists, well, the theists later did not like his philosophy. But the theists of the time were all mainly deists, so I mean... And he was also one of the first atheistic school of thoughts. But yeah, that's why when the Romans accepted Christianity, they basically made Epicureanism into something that it is not. They made it into pure hedonism, and that's why today when you hear the word Epicurean, you think of someone who eats fine foods and indulges in all of life's pleasures. No, that's the Christians perverting the name Epicurean to make it what it wasn't, because they, yeah. But yeah, when I say when the theists didn't like it, I mean the ones in the future, the ones after Epicurus was long gone. They tried to pervert it because they thought pleasure was, bad. They didn't want people having rich, fulfilling lives. They wanted everyone subservient to God and not to their own ataxia, not to their own pleasure, but everything in the service of God. So they kind of badmouthed the name, and now it means what it means. So Epicurean actually meant moderation and an absence of sufferings and anxiety. That is the goal of Epicureanism. It's just an absence of sufferings and anxiety. That's another thing. Coveting is right out. Coveting is not a good thing because it leads only to aponia, to pain. And Epicurus also taught mainly that the biggest pleasure in life is knowledge. So you see why the Christians hated him then too. They don't like you learning stuff. Well, I think I'll end this here because I think I gave y'all a good primer on Epicureanism at least, and hope I was informative. Hope I just didn't drone on about it and everything. And yeah, I'm still trying to come up with a tagline. Let me try something here. We all may be morons, but at least we're not Mormons. Bye, everybody.